Morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. This is Geoff of Fluent American, and this is a video that we'd actually done last week, but due to some technical difficulties, we're going to have to redo for today. So we're going to be focusing on the IELTS test. I have on the side our chat box open, so as I go through this, if you have any questions, please be sure to post them, and I'll do my best to respond promptly. But we're going to be taking a look at IELTS writing, IELTS paragraphs to kind of see, how do you structure your essays depending on tasks? How does the task affect the structure? And the reality is it's not going to be a whole lot. Okay, the things we're going to be talking about today are going to be pretty much true for any type of situation and things like that. But these will be just some basic guidelines based on my experience from when I was administrating the test and things like that. Okay. So like I said, if you have questions, feel free to post them in the chat box. I'll be responding as we go through them. Cool. So let's take first look at the first essay type. Probably the most common type is to what extent do you agree? So to what extent do you agree, or to what extent do you disagree? And I think the key thing for this is to pick a side. Okay, you need to make sure that the examiner is always 100% clear about what your position is. Okay, if at any moment the examiner does not know your stance or your position, or it's unclear, that's immediately going to lower your score. You're immediately going to go from like a band 6 or a band 7 to a band 5 automatically, if not lower. Okay, so if at any point the examiner is not sure what your position is, you're immediately going to score a 5 or lower for your task achievement. So you want to make sure you're watching out for that. My biggest suggestion for this type of essay is that you just pick one side. Don't pick two sides. I would just pick one strong side. Don't pick a side that's in the middle. Just for clarity's sake, I really strongly suggest just picking one side. So either strongly agree or strongly disagree. Those times where students go, well, in this situation I agree, and in this situation I disagree, it can be a little bit more difficult for the examiner to pick out your position. That's not to say that those are impossible to do, but it can make your life harder, and it becomes a little bit, you run the risk of potentially losing points if your writing isn't strong or if you make a mistake. Okay, so again, my suggestion for to what extent do you agree, just pick a single side. Your basic structure is going to look something like this. You have an introduction, naturally. Your first body paragraph is going to explaining one part of your view. Your second body paragraph is going to then focus on another part of your view. And then you wrap up with the conclusion. Just some other quick reminders too. The conclusion, there should be no new information. Okay, so if you haven't said something in your first body paragraph or in your second body paragraph, then you should not say it in your conclusion. There should be nothing new in that paragraph. There's no room, there's no chance to explain it. And that's why you want to make sure that all of your explanations, all of your new ideas are in your body paragraphs. Okay, so that's the general structure I suggest for a to what extent do you agree type essay. I would say the next step up from that would be discuss both views and give your opinion. So discuss both views and give your opinion. Another pretty common essay type. We're also actually, once we're finished taking a look at the different essays, we're going to take a look at a sample discuss both views essay that I found on another IELTS website. And I'll talk about the things that I think are making it strong, but also that I think are weakening it and hurting its score. What I suggest for discuss both views, your opinion should be clear from the introduction. There's no point in waiting. Okay, when I read the introduction as your examiner or as your reader, I should know what your stance is. I should know what your position is. It's not a secret. It's not something you're going to hide until your conclusion. You can make it clear. Okay. So my suggestion for that, you write your intro. In the first body paragraph, I suggest doing the opposing view. So the view you disagree with. So that way you get that out of the way. It's your first view. And then after that, you do your view. Talk about your own opinion. Okay, that's my suggestion. So this looks at both views. Okay, it looks at the opposing view first. And then after that, you look at the other view. It's the view that you agree with. That's how you're getting the task done. You're still looking at both sides, even if it's the side that you agree with. Okay, so again, first body paragraph, the opposing view. Second body paragraph, your view. And then in your conclusion, you're just summarizing. Okay, do not hide your opinion just until the conclusion. That's too long. There's again, like we said before, it's not the place for new information. Your opinion should be clear throughout the entire essay. Again, we'll take a look at an example once we finish looking at these different types. Just some other quick reminders too. If you're trying to get some daily pronunciation practice, some daily feedback on your pronunciation, I strongly encourage you to take a look at our Patreon page where you can join our Telegram group. I basically every day give a prompt or a challenge, and then you can record yourself saying the things that I say, and then I can let you know how you're saying them. Like I could say, oh, I think that sounds really good. Or I could say, oh, you need to lengthen your vowel, or you need to change your stress, things like that. Okay, so it's a great opportunity. If you're trying to improve your pronunciation, definitely take advantage of that opportunity. If you're just interested in trying to get your own IELTS essays corrected, another place where you can check is just our website at fluentamerican.com. I have an option on the website where you can submit essays if you look at our IELTS tab. So if you're trying to get corrections for your writing and things like that, definitely take a look at our Fluent American website. Next essay type will be problem solution. Okay, so what is problem, what is solutions? The same general idea. So you have an intro. Intro introduces the different things that the essay is going to talk about in your thesis statement. The first body paragraph I would dedicate to the problems. And this is also a case where you really need to pay attention to the wording of the question. Notice that here it says, what is the problem, singular. So that means that in the problem body paragraph, you just need to talk about one. If it says problem, you just need to talk about one. If it says problems, then you need to mention at least two. Okay, so pay attention to singulars and plurals for the question type. It's a very easy way to lose points. If it says problem, write about one. If it says problems, write about two. Same thing for solutions. Notice that here it says solutions, plural. So that means if it says solutions, we need to give at least two. Okay, at least two. So again, pay attention to singulars and plurals in the question type because that directly impacts what you need to do in the question. Okay. Same thing for the next essay type as well. So advantages, disadvantages. Okay. So if it says what are the advantages and disadvantages, first body paragraph focusing on the advantages, second body paragraph focusing on the disadvantages. For this essay type, it doesn't actually usually ask for an actual opinion. So you don't really need a stance. You just need to list advantages. You just need to list and explain disadvantages. And again, if it's plural, then you need at least two. If it's singular, then you can just use one. But yeah, that would be the structure I would use for an advantages, disadvantages essay. Now, if it asks you, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? My suggestion here is this is a little bit different because you're not explaining the advantages, disadvantages. You're trying to prove the advantages outweigh. Slightly different topic. So pick a position. Yes, they agree, or yes, they outweigh, or no, they don't outweigh. Hey, Majid, thanks for joining me, man. If you have some questions as I go through this, be sure to let me know because I want to make sure you're getting the information that you need. Okay. But again, so if it says do advantages outweigh the disadvantages, again, pick a position. You either agree, yes, they outweigh them, or you disagree, no, they don't outweigh them. So pick your position, and then the rest of your essay, you're just trying to explain why. Okay, so for instance, first body paragraph trying to emphasize and explain and elaborate why. One reason for the first body paragraph, then the second body paragraph picking a second reason and then explaining that more fully. Okay, so that's your structure for the advantages and disadvantages essay. Intro, body one reason why it does outweigh or one reason why it doesn't outweigh it. And then same thing with the second body paragraph. That's your structure there. Causes and effects. Again, this is not asking for an opinion. Okay, this is just asking causes, effects. That's it. Okay, so body one, talk about causes. Notice again, we're paying attention to singulars and plurals. This says causes, so that means it's plural, so I need to give at least two causes. If it says cause, what's the cause? I can just talk about one. But if it says what are the causes, I need two. Same thing for effects. If it says effects, plural, I need at least two. If it says effect, then I just need one. Okay, either one of those. And then lastly, the conclusion. Okay, so wrap up with conclusion to summarize. And as always, no new information in the conclusion. If you think of a new idea that you really want to explain and you didn't think about it until the conclusion, don't put it there. Put it somewhere in a body paragraph. Okay, the conclusion is not the place for new information. Don't put it there. Okay, so just to kind of recap all of our different types. To what extent do you agree? Again, clear position, stay consistent. I suggest picking a strong view. Okay, you agree or you disagree. Pick one side. Don't pick something in the middle. It'll make your life a little bit easier. Discuss both views. Again, two sides. Okay, you need to introduce two sides, but don't hide your opinion. Your opinion should be clear from the beginning. Problem solutions. Again, you don't need to really give an opinion here. One paragraph on the problem or problems, one paragraph on the solutions. Advantages, disadvantages, one paragraph on advantages, one paragraph on disadvantages. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Well, in this case, it's more of an argument. Okay, and so the first body paragraph talking one reason why, second body paragraph, another reason why. Then causes and effects, one paragraph on causes, one paragraph on effects. Okay, so as you can see, all essays, 4 paragraphs is plenty. Okay, you don't have much time. You only have 40 minutes for this, right? So you want to make sure that you're making your body paragraphs normal. I have some students, they really want to write like 3 body paragraphs, 4 body paragraphs. You're not going to have time. It's much better to have 2 body paragraphs that you're able to fully develop and explain. All right, so like I said before, I want to take a look at an example discuss both views essay, because this is the one essay type where I see students making the most mistakes in terms of their structure. Okay, and this one was taken from IELTS Academic. I have not looked at a lot of their essays before, so I can't necessarily vouch for them. One thing just from reading this beforehand, I can tell you that I think the grammar and the vocab that they're using is fine, but the area where this could be greatly improved would be the argumentation. The argumentation, honestly, in my opinion, is not great. Okay. So what are the biggest issues I have with this? And again, I'll be keeping my, I'm going to keep my chat box here in case anyone has any comments. Okay, so again, as I go through this essay, if you have any things that are you're not sure about, things like that, be sure to let me know. But one of the most debatable issues of the last century has been the extent to which international trade benefits or harms national economies. Many arguments have been made for and against free trade between nations. Okay, so the first thing here, this sentence here, your second sentence here, it's not doing any work. It's saying everything that's been expressed in that first sentence. When you say it's a debatable issues, when you say it's debatable, it's already implied that there are arguments for it and against it, you know. So I don't think it's not a super helpful sentence. What's the difference between the second sentence and the first sentence? I'm not seeing much. It's something that would probably need to be explained a little bit more or potentially removed. Okay. This is the type of sentence that to me kind of feels like filler. Like it's a sentence that you write because you want to make sure you have enough words or something like that. But in terms of argument, nothing's really being progressed. Okay, so I would consider removing this second sentence. Then we get our thesis statement. And like I mentioned before for thesis statements, you want your thesis to do 2 things. Your thesis's job is to do 2 things. This is to express an opinion. That's the first job. And the second job is to give proof. Your proof should be things like your topic sentences from your body paragraph. Okay. When a reader sees your thesis statement, they should have an idea about what your essay is going to actually do. My issue with this is that this thesis statement is not doing either of those things. I don't know what the opinion is. You say you're going to state your opinion, but you don't state the opinion. So I don't know what your argument is. You'll discuss both views. I don't even know what you're going to say about both views. Okay, so as a thesis statement, this isn't doing anything. It's a pretty weak sentence. So basically in this intro, you have 1 weak sentence followed by another weak sentence. Not the best start to this essay. Okay, as a reader, I don't really know much about what's going to happen. Okay, that's a problem. That's going to hurt your task achievement score. Also could hurt your coherence and cohesion score to a degree because we don't know what the plan is for your writing. Okay. I would even say as a hook, I know my views on hooks are different than other IELTS teachers. I don't know if those teachers have been examiners for IELTS before, but I think hooks are great opportunities to show your vocab, to show your writing style, which can really boost, again, your lexical resource score. But I know a lot of other people are teaching hooks like this. Yeah, exactly. Maja is mentioning that it's kind of a cliche statement. It really is. And I know a lot of teachers teach it. I think they teach it because it's simple. It's because when all else fails, if you don't have time to write a good hook, fine. I get it. You need something, use it. But, this is extremely similar to... But I think Samaj is saying as for the thesis statement. I mean, yeah, this type of thesis statement is definitely overtaught. But the same thing for the hook. The hook is also extremely cliche as well. I mean, this whole this whole paragraph really is just kind of falling into. Let me put it this way: if your IELTS examiner reads 100 essays, probably like 90 to 95 of those essays are going to sound like this first paragraph, and that's by itself is not a bad thing. But the problem is that your reader doesn't know what's going to follow. Your reader doesn't really have an idea of your own style or writing. The reader doesn't really get a sense of the vocab you're using, because a lot of this vocab is just kind of synonyms and things like that. So you're not really, it's not the best start to an essay. Okay, so those are my issues with the intro. Let's take a look at the first body paragraph here. So this supports expansion of free trade. I know. So Maja was saying that people don't teach hooks. And it's true, because teaching hooks is really hard. It's hard to write a good hook. I get it. However, hooks are definitely opportunities to push your vocab. I could talk all day about hooks. If you're curious about hooks, definitely check out our other videos that have talked about hooks, because I have addressed it in essays before. Another thing you can do is also check out opinion articles like op-eds. If you go to newspapers, like if you go to like, let's give a quick example. Let's do, I was using Wired with another student recently. Okay. So if you go to, most major newspapers have a section that's called opinion. Okay. And because, most native speakers are not writing IELTS essays. Right, but they are writing things like opinion pieces. Okay, so opinion pieces can be helpful because they're making arguments like you are in IELTS essays. They're making opinionated statements. Okay, so I would say just kind of read some opinion articles and see how they're starting. You don't need to read the whole article. Just read the first paragraphs. Just get an idea. How are they starting their stances? How are they starting their articles? The problem might be your mouse or your trackpad. So they're kind of using facts. They're maybe starting with questions and things like that. So opinion articles are your best friend in trying to write IELTS essays. I can't recommend them enough. I think they're great. Okay. So definitely take advantage of them. Yeah. And Maja's recommending the hooks videos too. I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, hooks, I think they're great opportunities for your writing. Moving on, does support expansion claim that economies grow faster when it can specialize in just a few industries in which they have a strong advantage? Okay, so don't even read the rest of the body paragraph. Just read that first sentence. And what do we think is going to be the focus of this paragraph? So does it support the expansion of free trade? Move this over a bit. Whoops, move too much. Does it support the expansion of free trade claim that economies grow faster when they can specialize in just a few industries? Okay, so by expanding free trade, economies can specialize. Okay. I think that's the argument. Okay, so by having global free trade, economies will grow faster because they'll specialize in just a few industries. Okay, so that's the argument that I see being made. Fine. As a result, each region or country produces something of value to the world economy. Okay, so So it's weird for me from a body paragraph structure perspective too. So you have your topic sentence, which identifies what the whole paragraph's about. Okay, so your topic sentence is that first sentence. But then to have your next sentence start with as a result, that's a weird progression because you're trying to prove this first sentence. This is your argument. You're trying to prove this argument. But instead of trying to prove this argument, you then move on to as a result of this argument. So you've never proven what you're saying. You're just assuming it's true and then moving on. Okay, that type of progression in writing is a little bit dangerous because you're assuming that your reader just agrees with you, but you've not given any evidence of what you've said yet. Because that's a little bit problematic from a transition point of view. But let's move on. So as a result, each region or country produces something of value to the world economy. Try not to use something. Okay, this is one of those words that an examiner sees this word, and they're automatically thinking like band 6, if not lower. Okay, if they see a word like something or anything or stuff or good, these are types of words. These are just like alarms or like sounding off in your examiner's mind. Okay, because these are just low level vocabulary. Try to push it. Okay, so that's a problem. And Majid's mentioning there's no supporting sentences, and we're going to get to that. Okay, as a result, each region or country produces something of value to the world economy. That's a big statement to make. Okay, so you're saying that when this happens with the economy, each country produces something of value. That's a big statement to make. How are we going to prove it? East Asia manufactures electronic goods, the Middle East exports energy, and the EU provides luxury items. Okay, so I'm missing a little bit of the connection between how these things are connected to the free trade. So you're saying that free trade led to this situation with electronic goods, Middle East, and the luxury items in the Union? Okay, I think it's an interesting claim, but how exactly does that happen? How exactly did free trade lead to these things? That seems like a really big generalization and a big leap. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just missing the steps. I don't get the steps. Free trade proponents claim that dependence on global trade helps to strengthen international cooperation and prevent wars. Whoa, what a big claim. So let me make sure I'm understanding. So you're saying that because we have global trade, we have better cooperation, and we prevent wars. I think those are great ideas. I'm not even saying I disagree with them. Where's your proof? Where's your proof? Where's your proof that trade is what's making it difficult to have wars? Where's your proof that this is helping like the cooperation? Okay. I mean, if anything, that probably should have been that could be a topic sentence. You could write a book about this. You want to watch out for sentences like this because you do not want to end a body paragraph with this type of sentence. Because if you end a body paragraph with this type of sentence, you have no room to prove it. Because your next paragraph is going to talk about another idea. So this sentence can never go at the end of a body paragraph because if it does, it's going to hurt the development because you just made a big claim. Okay, it may even be one that I agree with as an examiner. You made a big claim, but you offer no proof, no supporting sentences, like has been mentioned. That's a problem. That's hurting your development. Take a look. Excuse me. At the next paragraph. Yeah, I mean exactly. There's no logical development. Okay. The last sentence of body paragraphs are the most dangerous paragraph, the most dangerous sentences in your essay. The last sentence of your body paragraphs are the most dangerous sentences of your essay because that's the place where I see time and time again students introduce a completely new idea and then just leave it. No proof. No evidence. Cool. Well, if you don't give me any evidence, I'm not going to give you a good score. That's how you get a 6, on task achievement. Next, meanwhile, opponents of free trade, sometimes called protectionists, good, I like your vocabulary, okay, claim that unrestricted movement of goods causes damage to local communities. Okay, I'm okay with this as a topic sentence. I don't have any issue with this. If I want to be nitpicky, I could say this is really general. When you say damage to local communities, what does that mean? what is damage? What kind of damage? How are the local communities hurt? Because that's, it's one thing if you say environmental damage. It's another thing if you say economic damage. It's another thing if you say social damage. Like, well, what kind of damage are we focusing on here? I'm really an advocate for, if you can go more specific on something, go more specific. The more specific you can get, the better. This is because jobs are lost when it becomes cheaper to import a product than to produce it domestically. Now, I get the thinking here, but in some ways, jobs are lost in one country, but they're also made in another country, right? So you want to make sure that we're focusing on jobs are lost in a select country. Okay, it's not just that the jobs are completely disappearing; it's just that they're moving places, right? They're moving shores. Just because, okay. So you have a main idea here. Regardless, you have a main idea here. Great. So after a main idea, you explain it. So you're going to give me some proof of this, right? You're going to explain why jobs are lost because of this. But instead, no, you don't give me a detail. You then move on to another main idea. They also argue that vast distances is harming the environment and making our life unsustainable. Where's the meanwhile kind of means a continuation of the previous paragraph. So we're looking at this. There's a question about meanwhile. So this is meanwhile creating a transition to link the paragraphs together. So meanwhile can do that, but it can also kind of say that like two things are happening at the same time, which is I think how I think that's kind of what they mean here by using meanwhile. I think what they're saying is that at this point in time, there are people who argue this about free trade, but then there's also these people over here who argue another idea about free trade. So that's kind of what I'm seeing with the meanwhile. Meanwhile can mean a continuation, okay? But I don't personally have an issue with the meanwhile here. I think it's okay. Are there other transitions you could use? Yeah, sure, but I personally think it's okay. It's because jobs are lost when it becomes cheaper. Okay. So they also argue that vast distances traveled by food, oil, and consumer goods is harming the vast distances. Notice that distances is plural. Okay. This really should be are. So it is just a little grammar. Subject verb thing. They also argue that the vast distances traveled by food are harming the environment, making our life unsustainable. Okay. Personally, I would suggest removing the making our lives unsustainable. This is another issue I see with a lot of writing from my students is that they just keep making claims. You keep adding these ands. Think of it this way. Every time you add an and, in some ways you're making your life harder because then you have to explain that. Okay, so when you say they're harming the environment and making life unsustainable, well, now you need to prove not only that they're harming the environment, your first idea, but then you also need to prove that they're making lives unsustainable. Okay, you can do that. Go for it. You can do it. But again, you only have 40 minutes. It's like, why would you want to make your life harder and have to explain more things? Okay, narrow down, focus. This just saying it's harming the environment, that's plenty. That's plenty. You don't need to add more that you then need to explain later. That's not. Make your life easier. Don't make your life harder. You only have 40 minutes. Protectionists are in favor of. Where's the proof? Any proof? Evidence? Details? None? Okay. Protectionists are in favor of tighter controls on movement of goods and services and protect jobs and livelihoods. Where do we... Why? I don't get the goal of this last sentence. If it's so it seems to me almost like a summary type sentence, like you're just kind of summarizing the arguments that you made in the rest of the paragraph. But if it's a summary sentence, then shouldn't it mention the environment issues? So you're going to summarize, but you're not going to summarize the whole paragraph. So I don't know if that's the goal of this sentence, is to summarize, because it's not fully summarizing. I don't know if the goal is to introduce something new. The other issue I have, so like in favor of tighter controls on the movement of goods, what does that look like? What kinds of tighter controls? I don't really know what's intended by that. What types of limits are you talking about here? Yeah, so I don't know. The development of this body paragraph. I like the start. I was okay with the topic sentence. I was okay with the first main idea. I'm even okay with the second main idea, but there are no details anywhere in this paragraph, and that's a problem. Okay. Also, having read both the body paragraphs, I as the examiner, I as the reader, I still don't know what the author's opinion is. I don't know what side they're on. And if you look at the rubric on IELTS, let's look at an example rubric together really quick, because I think you'll see this. Like, IELTS doesn't really make it a secret. The public version of their rubric is actually very, very similar to the rubric that examiners use. And we're going to take a look at the task achievement category. And this is, again, where people are losing points very, very easily. Let's look here. Task 2. I know it's a little blurry, but you can see addresses all parts of the task, presents a clear position throughout the response. Right there. Task achievement, band 7, presents a clear position throughout the response. Where's the clear position? Where is it? I don't see it. I'm 3/4 of the way done this essay, and I still don't know what the stance is. Okay, so for task achievement, that means that even if I write a great response, but I don't have an answer that's clear, the highest score I can get is a band 6. Okay. Because to get a band 7, I need a clear position throughout the response. I don't have a clear position throughout the response. Okay. The highest band I could get for a task achievement would be band 6. Lastly, in conclusion, while there are convincing arguments to both sides of the debate, a return of protectionist policies would surely be a mistake. Global trade is inevitable. Another just minor thing. In an essay, you don't need to tell me that you're writing an essay. You know, saying things like "I firmly believe" or "I think." Well, I already know that you believe or you think those things, so you don't need to remind me in an essay that that's how you view it. Okay. I already know. Global trade is inevitable and should not be restricted. It is no longer realistic to source all our energy, food, and manufactured goods within there. Hold up. So this is another thing. So your conclusion is introducing a couple of things that haven't been introduced in the whole essay. It's introducing the opinion, which hasn't been introduced in the whole essay. And then it's introducing this concept here that it's not realistic for countries to do this. When did we talk about how realistic it is for countries to do this? We didn't mention that anywhere in this essay. This conclusion is introducing another new concept that we haven't talked about in the whole body paragraph. So basically for this essay, there's a lot of I don't know. I know it's a sample essay from IELTS Academic, but I'm honestly not super impressed with the development. I think the vocabulary is fine. You know, using words like something I'm not a big fan of, but the general vocab is okay. The grammar, for the most part, is fine. There was a subject-verb issue, but most of the grammar is fine. But the big issue here is going to be the task achievement, because, the ideas in the development are just lacking. You know, in some ways, I don't see that's how this would get beyond a 6, just going by the rubric for a couple of things. Okay. Yep, so that's just kind of my thoughts on a couple of different things. So we've talked about at the beginning of this, we talked about the different essay types, and then we looked at an example, discussed both views essay, because that's, again, a very common type. As I stated before, if you're trying to get your own IELTS writing corrected, please visit our website, fluentamerican.com. I've posted a link in the chat. If you click on that IELTS tab, you can send in your own Task 1 or Task 2s for me to take a look at. I also have videos on my website that go through how I would plan and structure Task 2s in greater detail on some of our YouTube videos, because that's kind of a part of our video course. If you have other questions about IELTS and things like that, be sure to let me know. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for your time. I'll see you in a future video. Always appreciate it. You guys take care, okay?